Hello everyone, and wishing you all a wonderful day. Today's story dives into the gripping tale of James, a CEO tormented by the disappearance of his beloved Diep, chased by men hired by his rival, John. As James battles guilt and orchestrates a plan to bring John to justice, his desperate search for Diep unfolds with heart-wrenching emotion and unrelenting hope. Will he find her, or will his regrets consume him? Stay tuned to find out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to never miss my upcoming videos. Night falls, and James's room is bathed in the dim glow of a desk lamp. He sits by the phone, hands trembling as he dials Diep's number, only to hear the cold, mechanical tone. "Please leave a message after the beep." The words cut like a blade into his heart. James closes his eyes, Diep's image from last night's dream haunting him. Her radiant smile, yet eyes filled with unease. He whispers, "Diep, where are you?" Anxiety burns like a smoldering fire, consuming every breath. He rises, pacing aimlessly, his gaze lost beyond the window. Outside, a light rain falls as if the sky weeps with him. James murmurs, "I have to find her." He calls his son, voice urgent. "Son, go look for Diep now." I'm so worried. But deep down, he knows it's not that simple. Diep isn't just missing. She's fleeing something. And the shadow of John, his business rival, looms in his mind. James clenches his fists, nails digging into his palms. He blames himself. If I'd been more careful, Diep wouldn't be in danger. Yet, a flicker of hope sparks. Perhaps she's safe somewhere. He opens the door, inhaling deeply, resolved to act. Under the cold rain, James steps out, carrying his pain and a desperate longing to find Diep. The city's lights blur in the drizzle, mirroring his clouded heart. Each step is heavy, driven by a fragile hope that refuses to die. A faint light piercing the darkness, urging him to keep searching for the woman he loves. Under the pale midday sun, James stands by the stream, where police have just pulled a young woman from the water. The stream gurgles softly, but his heart feels frozen. The woman, Diep, 27, with drenched hair and bewildered eyes, says she fell into the stream by accident. James stares, hoping she's Diep, but his heart sinks when she says, "I don't know anyone named James." Her voice trembles, as if she too seeks answers to her own fate. The police ask more, but Diep recalls neither family nor home. James stands there, gaze lost, as if the world slips away. He whispers to the officer, "Is it her?" The reply, "It's not," strikes like a final blow. His fragile hope shatters, leaving a chilling void. James turns away, footsteps heavy on the dirt path. Around him, birdsong mocks his pain. He thinks of Diep, her warm smile, wondering if she's suffering somewhere he can't reach. "Goodbye, comrade," he says to the officer, voice low and sorrowful, then walks away. The stream flows on, indifferent and cold, reminding James that time waits for no one. He clenches his fists, resolve unbroken despite the despair gnawing at him. The sunlight filters through the trees, cast in fleeting shadows that mirror his fading hope. Yet, deep within, a spark persists, a refusal to give up. Each step carries the weight of his love for Diep, a silent vow to keep searching, even as the world around him seems to fade into a haze of uncertainty and loss. In the dimly lit office, James faces two henchmen, his eyes sharp as blades. Outside, wind howls through the window, carrying a tense air. He orders, "Proceed with the meeting, but I have an urgent task." His voice is low, commanding, masking his fear for Diep. James reveals the plan. Lure John, the mastermind behind Diep's pursuit, by requesting a new shipment. The henchmen, pale with fear, dread John's wrath. "Cooperate, and you might get a reduced sentence," James says, his tone both threatening and persuasive. One trembles. If John finds out, we're dead. But James's gaze is unrelenting, a burning resolve for vengeance. Reluctantly, they nod, agreeing to call John, claiming the old stock is sold and they need more. James rises, staring out the window, the darkness outside mirroring the storm in his heart. He thinks of Diep, of her desperate flight, and vows, John will pay. Yet, deep down, he knows capturing John doesn't guarantee finding Diep. The phone buzzes, signaling the call to John has begun. James clenches his fists, torn between hope and unease. This plan is a gamble, but he has no other choice. The wind outside roars, urging him to act. James turns, voice icy. "Let's go." His footsteps echo, leading the charge in an unforgiving battle. The room feels smaller, the air heavier, as if the walls themselves sense the stakes. Each moment pulses with the weight of his mission, to bring justice for Diep, even as her absence carves a hollow space in his soul. Night cloaks the abandoned house, where flickering lights seem like the eyes of fate. James stands in the shadows, heart pounding as the henchmen call John. The stuff was great, sold out fast, one says, voice shaky but feigning calm. John agrees to deliver a new batch. A cold breeze whispers of imminent victory. Police lie in wait, poised to strike. When John arrives, his car's headlights sweep across his cold, confident face. In an instant, officers swarm, cuffing him. James watches from afar, a mix of satisfaction and emptiness swelling within. He calls Officer Hung, voice urgent. "What did John say about Diep?" Hung replies, "He hired men to chase her, but she escaped, vanished." The words hit like an icy gust, snuffing out James's flicker of hope. He stands frozen, moonlight carving his weary face. John is caught, but Diep remains beyond reach. He wonders, where is she hiding? Is she safe? The triumph of John's capture clashes with the ache of Diep's absence, swirling into an emotional maelstrom. James orders, "Press John for more. Where did Diep disappear?" He turns away, footsteps heavy on the cold ground. The abandoned house stands silent, bearing witness to his pain. Though John is in custody, James knows the real battle. Finding Diep rages on. He gazes at the sky, a faint hope glimmering in the darkness. The stars above seem distant, yet they guide his resolve, a quiet vow to keep searching. Each breath carries her name, a tether to the woman he loves, lost but not forgotten in the vast, unforgiven night. As dusk paints the village road in crimson hues, James sits on a wooden bench, eyes heavy with grief. Diep's friend approaches, voice trembling. "Is it true Diep's missing?" James nods, voice choked. "It's my fault." He recounts the fateful day, Diep returning from work, chased by John's men, then vanishing. Each word cuts like a blade, his heart bleeding with guilt. The friend stands silent, eyes red, aching for Diep. "I looked for her, but found nothing," she says, voice thick with helplessness. James bows his head, fists clenched, cursing himself for failing to protect his love. "I'm sorry to your family," he repeats, as if apologies could ease the pain. The friend comforts him, saying no one wanted this, then asks, "Which way did Diep run?" James points toward the distant forest, where the sunset fades. She nods, resolved to search on, though hope is frail. James watches her go, heart sinking. He thinks of Diep, of their laughter-filled days, wondering if she's alone somewhere. A breeze carries the scent of damp earth, a reminder of hope's fragility. The friend departs, leaving James with his solitude. He sits, gaze lost in the void, heart shattered, yet clinging to the belief Diep is alive. The sunset dies, darkness enveloping the world, but James remains, a beacon refusing to fade. The village grows quiet, the air heavy with unspoken prayers. Each breath he takes is laced with her name, a silent vow to keep faith. In the deepening night, his love for Diep burns like a lone star, unwavering amidst the encroaching shadows. Beneath the ancient tree, James sits on a rock, gaze lost in the distance. His mother approaches, her steps slow, eyes heavy with love and worry. "Son, how's Diep?" she asks, voice trembling. James recounts everything, voice breaking. "I couldn't protect her." He blames himself, regretting not heeding his father and friends who said he and Diep were mismatched, that their differences thrust her into danger. His mother takes his hand, soothing. "Diep is strong, skilled in the forest. She'll be fine." She recalls Diep's mature smile, her affection for the girl. James shakes his head, eyes red. "It's my fault, John's fault, those dirty schemes." He feels he dragged Diep into a power struggle. His mother stands firm. "Don't blame yourself, son. John's the one to blame." She urges him to stay strong, trusting the police will find Diep. James looks at her, heart aching, but her words are a breeze easing his pain. Under the tree, twilight shadows cloak them, embracing their shared sorrow. James whispers, "If we don't find Diep, I don't know how I'll live." His mother grips his hand, eyes resolute. "We will find her." The breeze carries a fragile hope, yet James remains submerged in inner darkness. The leaves rustle, whispering of fleeting chances, but his mother's strength anchors him. The world around them quiets, the air thick with unspoken fears. Each word from his mother is a lifeline, pulling him from despair. In the fading light, their bond holds firm, a quiet promise to keep searching for Diep, no matter how vast the shadows grow. Under the deep purple sunset, James sits by the stream, where memories of Diep linger like treasures. The landscape has changed, but the past glimmers like stones beneath the water. He pulls items from the car trunk, food, a knife, firewood, as if preparing for the outdoor meal he and Diep once dreamed of. "Diep, where are you?" he whispers, voice lost in the breeze. His mother stands nearby, urging him home, but James shakes his head. "I want to stay." What if she returns? She gazes at him, eyes full of sorrow, understanding his need to cling to hope. "I'll go ahead, but come home soon," she says, walking away, her silhouette bent under the fading light. James remains, eyes heavy with grief, holding the knife he and Diep once shared. He recalls days of chopping wood, grilling food, laughing together. Now, only solitude remains. The stream murmurs, echoing their love story, yet reminding him Diep is still gone. James looks to the sky, where the first star twinkles. "I'll wait for you," he whispers a vow to himself. The breeze carries a chill, but his heart burns with faith. Darkness envelops the world, yet James stays, a small flame against the night, awaiting Diep's return. Even if it's just a dream, the stars above seem to watch, silent witnesses to his longing. Each ripple in the stream carries her name, a soft chant in his soul. In this sacred place, their memories anchor him, fueling a quiet resolve to never give up, no matter how vast the darkness or how faint the hope. James, a CEO, is consumed by anguish, as he searches for his missing girlfriend, Diep, who vanished after being chased by men hired by his rival John. Haunted by dreams and unable to contact her, James mobilizes police, locals, and even his son to find her, but every lead ends in despair. Meanwhile, he orchestrates a plan to trap John, using 2 henchmen to lure him into a police ambush. John is captured, but his confession, that Diep escaped and disappeared, offers no closure. James, racked with guilt, confides in Diep's friend and his mother, blaming himself for their mismatched love that made her a target. Despite his mother's encouragement and belief in Diep's resilience, James lingers at their special place by the stream, clinging to fading hope. Alone with memories, he vows to wait for Diep, unsure if she'll ever return.